Okay, folks, happy Friday to you. Work has, I have an actual job. I don't do this for a living, which I could, but I don't. I have an actual job, and work has reared its head, and it is consuming my time all of a sudden. I try and post as many videos as I can. It's just not always feasible because I do have regular duties that I must tend to. But I just wanted to come in here and riff a little bit. I don't have any notes or anything. I'm just going to go off the top of my head because there's so much happening right now. But what has really caught my eye is the fact that there is apparently going to be a summit between Trump and Putin. And I want to give you my thoughts about that in this video, which probably won't be that long, but let's see how long-winded I am. I don't intend for it to be very long. I don't know where this meeting is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be in Turkey. I've heard Saudi Arabia, some neutral side, I suppose. I wish they could just meet in the White House or in the Kremlin, but I don't suppose that's going to happen right now. So I don't know when this meeting is going to happen, but apparently it's going to be fairly soon. Now, let me give you my perspective, and just please understand, I don't present myself as some sort of geopolitical expert. I am not. I'm a simple man in a simple state of America. I'm just a working stiff, basically, when it comes right down to it. But I have keen interest in world affairs, and that's why I'm fairly well read and try and get a handle on what's going on and give you my opinion. And you can accept my opinion or discard it or present your own. I'm fine with any of that, and I absolutely could be wrong about everything I say. But I want to give you my insights on this for your consideration and see how you feel. First of all, I will say that Trump and Putin meeting on its face I consider to be a really good thing, and I have said all along they should be talking. They should be talking in person. That's always a good thing. If you're talking, you're not fighting necessarily. So I encourage this sort of diplomatic response from the United States. Already, if you watch the Western media, you're going to hear this angle that Putin called for this meeting. It's not my impression that's at all what happened. I believe that Trump called for the meeting, and I think that Trump, ever the egomaniac that he is trying to spin it already as in Putin calling for the meeting. What happened was Trump sent Stephen Witkoff over to Moscow to talk about to propose having a meeting, a summit between the two leaders. So if it was Putin that wanted the meeting, why would Trump send Witkoff? I think it's really the other way around. But of course, again, in the Western media, it's going to get this spin that Putin really wants to meet with Trump. Well, what we have to understand is what I've alluded to before, and anybody that's got any instincts about this or has any access to the facts at all understands that Putin has all the cards. Now, Trump has maintained for the longest time that he wants to facilitate an end to the war in Ukraine. He wants it to stop, and I was with him on that. I'm still with him on that, if that's what he would say. But of course, as we all know, as we sit here today on August, the 8th, 2025, Donald Trump has completely abandoned his campaign promises with regard to a pursuit of peace and getting us out of the muck and mire of Ukraine. He has completely reversed course and is apparently tone deaf to the multiplied millions of MAGA supporters who see what he has done, and they are outraged by it, me being one of them. What we wanted was the Trump we voted for, the Trump who told us he was going to attempt to broker a peace deal and bring an end to the war and get America out of the whole affair. That's what we wanted to hear, and that's what he told us he was going to do. But of course, he has completely reversed course, and now he is basically resumed the Biden foreign policy. But I will give the president credit because he is now apparently going to do what even Biden would not do, which is to actually sit down and get into the whiskers of Vladimir Putin and vice versa and actually have a talk. Now, as I said, Putin holds all the cards. If we would simply get out of this situation and let it take its natural course, it would end a lot sooner with a lot less bloodshed, and everybody would be okay. But that's not what's happening. Donald Trump is trying to insert himself into this equation and to other matters geopolitically as well, as we see. So on the one hand, I'm encouraged they're talking. Now I want to talk about what I believe is going to happen. I really, really, really want to be optimistic about this. But if I were to look in my crystal ball and foresee the future, I can't possibly know what's going to come of this meeting, folks. But I will tell you this. Trump is going to be looking for concessions from Putin, and I don't believe he's going to get any. Now, as we stand right now, Donald Trump is very frustrated with Vladimir Putin because, as with very few people Trump has ever had dealings with, he simply cannot get Putin to play ball with him. He has tried everything he knows to try, and he has failed at every turn. And because Putin is not responding to American sanctions and American dictates and demands, now Trump is so frustrated that he's starting to throw temper tantrums. That's what he's doing. And that's why you have seen in the last week or so, originally Trump was going to slap tariffs on Putin for, what was it, I think 60 days, apparently thinking that he would have Putin quaking in his boots or something, I don't know. And then just over a week or so ago, Trump said that he's tired of waiting, he's frustrated with Putin, and he's reducing his time frame, his deadline, his words, to, I believe he said 12 days, 10 or 12 days or something like that. And there was still no movement for Putin because Putin was sitting in the Kremlin going, okay, like this was supposed to work on him, and it wasn't working on him, and this was frustrating Donald Trump. And he's throwing a temper tantrum, as I said. Nothing is working with him, with Putin. Everything that Donald Trump tries to do, and it's becoming apparent, it's got to be apparent to Trump, folks, that he doesn't have any cards to play. Now, what I suspect is happening here, and I really hope that I'm wrong, but I'm afraid I'm not. This is my guess. This is just my guess, just my theory, just my opinion. I could be all wet, and I hope I am, and I really mean that. Something tells me that Trump is going to meet with Putin to try to gain some sort of concession from him. Trump is going to meet with Putin in what Trump considers perhaps to be the final ultimatum. And of course, he's in no position to issue ultimatums. This is what I really fear more than anything else. Trump goes to meet with Putin trying to facilitate an end to the war on his terms while not recognizing the terms that Putin has already made clear time and again. These things must happen before the war stops. Among Putin's demands are that the land we have already won in this war must be declared ours and must be recognized as same. Number two, there must be a guarantee from NATO that Ukraine will never be in NATO. And there's a couple of others, but those were two of the big ones. Now, Trump, ever the man who is ever the man with the large ego, is not going to want to appear to be a loser in any negotiation. I don't care what it's for, and all of you know that. He's not going to want to leave that meeting saying, I have conceded to all of Putin's demands, and I have agreed to sign off on what his demands are. I just can't see that happening. Trump is accustomed to winning. Trump is accustomed to getting his way. Trump is accustomed to having his opponents ultimately fall down with him being victorious. But he has severely, in my judgment, underestimated Vladimir Putin. He has severely underestimated the resolve of Russia on this matter. And this is what I believe is going to happen. And again, I hope I am wrong. I pray I am wrong. Trump meets with Putin. They talk. Putin reiterates the requirements for the cessation of hostilities and a ceasefire and the end to the war, basically. Trump knows he cannot, or Trump decides, let me rephrase that. Trump decides that he cannot agree to Putin's demands, because if he does, then it makes him look weak. At least in his mind, that's what I believe, in Trump's mind. If Putin appears to be the victor in the war and in negotiations with Trump, that's going to be a bitter pill for Donald Trump to swallow. And of course, as I say, he has a huge, massive ego. He likes to inflate everything and talk in these grandiose terms. Everything is great, everything's wonderful, everything is the biggest, the brightest, the richest. But he can't spin this to his liking, folks. He can't spin what's actually going on over there. I just don't see a win for Trump. Now, if it were me, I wouldn't get involved in the first place. If I knew there was no win here, I wouldn't get involved in the first place. And if Trump, this is what is so frustrating. Had Trump simply kept his word, had Trump simply done what he told us he was going to do and get us out of this entanglement in Ukraine and and pursued a policy of peace with Russia, then none of this would be necessary, and there would be no need for him to have to try and save face, because Trump could simply say, I'm doing what I told you I was going to do during the campaign. He has completely fumbled this ball to his own personal detriment and that of his ego. And it's his own damn fault. He's got nobody else to blame. This is what he gets from listening to neocons. This is what he gets from taking advice from the Lindsey Grahams of the world. I wonder if it's occurred to Donald Trump that he's doing exactly what the Cheneys want him to do. Wished he would do. Has that ever crossed his mind? That everything he is doing is to the delight of every neocon. John McCain is looking down or looking up with glee at what is happening here. I don't see a situation where Trump agrees to Putin's demands, which I just mentioned. I mentioned two of them. And I predict, again, I really hope I'm wrong about this. I predict, and you're going to get a lot of spin, but I predict ultimately what's going to happen is these talks are going to fail. And Trump is going to come from his meeting with Putin, and he's basically going to be saying, I did everything that I could, but he would not listen, he would not negotiate, he was not rational, he was not reasonable. And it is for that reason these negotiations are over. And now you've got a situation where Trump is really going to be angry because he is like a child man at times. Here he's going to be in a situation where once again he didn't get his way. The spotlight's not burning brightly on him with favor. And he's going to have to spin it. And now, since he can't get Putin to play ball his way, now he's really going after Putin. Now he's really going to be embittered, and now he's really going to slap the sanctions on Putin. And not only is he going to do that, but we're going to resume aid to Ukraine. That is what I predict. And the reason I say this is because, in my opinion, the influence of the globalists and the influence of the neocons is so very strong, and Trump is feeling the heat even now as I speak. Now, I cannot completely, fully, eloquently define this for you, but I am personally convinced that the global elites have plans for Ukraine. They've got their eye on Ukraine that they have had for some time, and these mad people are not put off by the spectacle, the prospect, the horror of nuclear war. I really believe that. I think they're absolutely mad. They want Ukraine. They've already got their puppet there, but he's not really in charge, and everybody knows it. Ukraine, for whatever reason, has become like the drop zone for the global elites, in my opinion, and that is why all these nations, the Germanys, the UK, the United States, and so many other countries are investing so much in Ukraine, billions and billions of dollars. Right now, I heard the guys on the Duran talking about a sum of $55 billion that is ready for the United States Senate to vote on in aid for Ukraine as soon as they reconvene. And all it will take to send another $55 billion to Ukraine is Trump's signature. And here we go again. And this amount of money would, from what I hear, exceed the amount of money that Joe Biden sent Ukraine. By the way, that's our money, our taxpayer dollars going to Ukraine, just in case anybody cares. One of two things is going to happen here, folks. Either we're going to broker a peace deal and bring an end to this madness, or the talks are going to fail and Trump is going to come away from them frustrated and angry and petulant, having a temper tantrum, and he's going to try and spin it to make Putin the bad guy once again. And he's going to slap more irrelevant sanctions on Russia. And when he gets back to Washington, somebody's going to put a piece of paper in front of him and say, now you can really show Putin who's boss. And sign right here and send another $55 billion to Ukraine. Maybe this is a stretch, but I'm not sure. I'm glad they're talking, but my level of optimism is rather muted at the moment. I hope something can happen that will bring Trump to his senses so that he can deal honestly with Putin. Maybe once they meet face to face, he can gain a better understanding of Putin's position on this. And as for the American people, all that we should be expecting of our president is to get us out of this. We've got no business being there. We have our own problems at home. We've got our own crises here that have to be addressed. How many Americans actually give a hoot what's going on in Ukraine? Do you know anybody who cares what's happening in Ukraine? Any American? No. We care what's happening in our towns, in our cities, in our states, our nation, our borders. That's where our focus needs to be, not in Ukraine. And so many millions of Americans voted for Trump because he told us he was going to get us out of Ukraine and pursue a policy of peace with Russia. And that's what I wanted to hear, and that's what millions of others wanted to hear. But here lately, we're hearing the exact opposite from Donald Trump, who is employing the Biden foreign policy. And I don't see any reversal of that, folks. Maybe Putin, God help him. God intervene, I pray, in this situation. And maybe I'm just praying there's some voices of reason that will be around Trump. Don't you wish he could go to wherever they're going, to Turkey or whatever? Don't you wish John Mearsheimer could be on Air Force One? Or Alexander Mercouris could be on Air Force One? Some of these people, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, Judge Napolitano, don't you wish they could be on Air Force One? Don't you wish they could be the last people Trump consults with before he sits down with Putin? But instead, the evidence shows that Trump has been listening to the rantings of the good old neocons. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, right? Okay, folks, those are my thoughts. Let's cross our fingers and pray that I don't know when this summit is happening. Apparently, it's rather imminent, I suppose. And we can only hope and pray that something good will come out of this. I don't mean to be a negative Nelly or a pessimist. I want something good to come out of this, but I am not real optimistic about it. But it's good they're talking. Anyway, that's what's on my mind. I just wanted to get on here and riff a little bit. Do me a favor, like this video, give me your comments down below. I would really appreciate it. Everybody go out there and have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.